All right. Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of our March 2nd, 2025 deep dive into current affairs.
That's right, keeping you updated and prepared for your UPSC exams.
And as always, we've got a lot to cover today, so let's jump right in.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so first up, we're talking about something that's making waves in the agricultural sector, farmer-producer organizations.
You got it, FPOs?
Exactly, FPOs. And there's been some really exciting progress recently.
Yeah, India just hit a big milestone. They formed 10,000 FPOs under this special government scheme.
10,000. That's incredible, but for anyone who's hearing about FPOs for the first time,
Right.
can you give us a quick rundown of what they are and why they're so important?
Sure, think of FPOs like, teams of farmers
Okay.
working together to make things better for themselves,
Yeah.
If you've got farmers working on their own, they often have trouble getting their products to market,
Right.
negotiating fair prices, or even just keeping up with new technologies.
Sure.
But when they join forces, they become an FPO.
Yeah.
They share resources, they learn from each other, they have a stronger voice.
Okay, so strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And what makes this government scheme stand out?
Well, this one's really focused on helping farmers in areas that need a boost, aspirational districts.
Yeah.
The goal is to set up at least one FPO in each block of these districts.
Right.
Plus, it follows this model, one district, one product.
I see.
This helps streamline everything from production to marketing. It just makes things smoother.
That makes sense, and it sounds like the government's offering a lot of support, too.
Oh, absolutely. There's 5 years of handholding,
Wow.
including financial assistance, 18 lakh rupees per FPO for the first 3 years.
That's a pretty big commitment for the government. Sounds like they're really serious about this.
They are.
But what about, getting loans? That's often a big problem for farmers, right?
Absolutely. And that's where this scheme gets even more interesting.
Okay.
It has a built-in credit guarantee facility. This encourages banks to lend money to FPOs.
It's like a safety net.
Exactly. It's a win-win. Each FPO can access up to 2 crore rupees in loans with this guarantee.
That's really smart. Takes away some of the risk for both the farmers and the lenders.
It does.
So all this sounds great, but how does it actually lead to more money in farmers' pockets?
Okay, let's imagine we have an FPO of mango farmers. They could pool their resources to invest in better storage.
Right.
Cut down on those losses that happen after harvest.
Sure. Makes sense.
They could even work together on processing and packaging, adding value to their mangoes.
And then since they're a larger, more organized group, they have more bargaining power.
You got it. They could even start exporting their mangoes. And the scheme connects them with platforms like the Open Network for Digital Commerce, ONDC.
Right. ONDC.
Which gives them access to way more buyers.
It's a whole new level of opportunity.
Now, for our UPSC folks out there, think about how all of this ties into your syllabus.
Okay.
Agricultural economics, rural development, government schemes, it's all right here.
It's like seeing those textbook concepts come to life.
It is.
Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about India's economic goals.
All right.
There's a new report from the World Bank. It talks about India's path to becoming a high-income country by 2047.
Ambitious goal.
It is ambitious. The report says India needs to keep up an average growth rate of 7.8% every year to get there.
7.8%, that's no small feat.
It's not. But we got to remember, India's already moved up
Yeah.
from being a low middle-income country to aiming for upper middle-income status. So we're on the right path.
We are.
But 7.8% is still a steep climb. What are some of the biggest hurdles we're facing, according to this report?
Well, the report highlights a few key challenges.
Okay.
First, there's the issue of structural transformation.
Okay.
A large chunk of our workforce is still in agriculture,
Right.
which, generally speaking, has lower productivity compared to other sectors.
So we're still heavily reliant on agriculture.
We are.
But to reach that high income status, we need to see growth in areas like manufacturing and services.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the second challenge, private investment.
Okay.
We saw a surge in investment after the reforms in the 90s,
Right.
but as a percentage of GDP, it's been going down, especially since the 2008 global crisis.
So we need more investment to fuel growth in those key sectors.
We do.
What about India's demographic dividend? We always hear about that. Isn't that supposed to be an advantage?
It is, but the report suggests we're not using it to its full potential.
Really?
Yeah, our working age population has grown significantly, but employment hasn't kept up.
Oh, I see.
The labor force participation rate has actually dropped.
Interesting.
So we're missing out on potential economic growth.
So we have the workforce, but we're not creating enough jobs in the right sectors.
That's one way to put it.
Okay, so what solutions does the World Bank report offer?
They suggest a few strategies.
All right.
The first one is to boost investment, getting it up to 40% of GDP by 2035.
40%, wow.
This could involve things like improving financial regulations,
Okay.
making it easier for small and medium businesses to get loans, and simplifying the rules for foreign direct investment.
So it's about making India a more attractive place for investors.
Exactly. They also emphasize creating more jobs, particularly in areas with high growth potential.
Like where?
Think agro-processing, manufacturing, transport, even the care economy.
Interesting. And anything else?
Yeah, the report highlights the need for balanced regional development.
Okay, what does that mean?
So, less developed states would focus on strengthening basic services, while more developed ones work on boosting their competitiveness.
So each region plays to its strengths.
Exactly.
Now, for our UPSC folks, what kind of essay topics could come up based on this report?
Oh, tons. Think about economic development models, the idea of sustainable growth, or the role of demographics in economic progress.
Lots to think about there.
There is.
Okay, let's shift our focus to international relations now.
All right.
The India-EU Trade and Technology Council, the TTC,
Yeah, the TTs.
recently had a meeting. What's the big deal about this council?
This council is a really important platform for India and the European Union to work together.
Okay,
They focus on things they both care about.
I see.
They have three main groups that work on strategic technologies, green and clean technologies, and trade.
Okay, so they're covering a lot of ground.
They are.
What were some of the key takeaways from this meeting?
In the area of strategic technologies, they really stress their commitment to human-centric AI.
Human-centric AI, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a priority for both India and the EU.
I see.
They also talked about working together on things like semiconductors,
Okay.
high-performance computing, even 6G.
Wow, so they're looking way ahead.
They are.
What about green and clean technologies? Any progress there?
They announced they're starting joint research projects under the Horizon Europe program.
Horizon Europe.
Yeah, it's the EU's big research and innovation program,
Okay.
and they're putting a lot of money into it, a combined investment of 60 million euros.
Wow, that's a serious investment. And what about trade? Did they make any headway on that front?
They confirmed their commitment to finalize a free trade agreement by 2025.
That would be huge.
It would. They also discussed ways to boost trade while tackling climate change
Okay.
and shared ideas about how to screen foreign direct investment, making sure it's beneficial.
So it sounds like climate change is a shared concern that's really driving their partnership.
It is.
But taking a step back, why is this India-EU partnership so important in the grand scheme of things?
Well, both India and the EU are major global players. They're
Yeah.
both democracies, they have open market economies,
Yeah.
and they share common values in areas like security, prosperity, and sustainable development.
So they're natural partners.
They are.
Now, for our UPSC audience, how does this meeting connect to their exam preparation?
Think about topics like international relations, the dynamics of trade agreements, the growing importance of technology cooperation.
Okay.
This meeting is a real-world example of how these issues play out on the global stage.
Excellent point. Okay, let's take a break from geopolitics for a minute
All right.
and explore something a bit more cosmic.
I like where this is going.
India's Aditya L1 mission just captured an amazing image of a powerful solar flare.
Oh, wow, I saw that. Incredible image.
It is. For those who might need a refresher,
Right.
Can you remind us what Aditya L1 is all about?
Aditya L1 is India's first mission dedicated to studying the sun.
Okay.
It launched back in September of 2023.
No.
It's been sending back amazing data, and that includes this recent capture of an X6.3 class solar flare.
X6.3 class, that sounds intense.
It is.
Can you break down what a solar flare is?
Sure.
And why this particular one is so significant?
Imagine a sudden burst of energy from the sun's surface.
Okay.
That's a solar flare.
Okay.
They're categorized by their strength, with X-class being the most powerful.
Wow, so capturing an X6.3 flare is a big deal in the world of space science.
It is.
So how does Aditya L1 actually study these solar flares?
Well, when a flare happens, the region on the sun where it comes from becomes super bright in ultraviolet and X-ray wavelengths.
Cool.
Aditya L1 has instruments like the Solar Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope, or SUIT,
Okay, SUT.
and SOLEC SS and HEL10S,
Right.
all designed to observe those wavelengths.
So they're essentially capturing the light show from these huge solar explosions.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Can you remind us about Aditya L1's mission objectives
Sure.
and its unique location?
The main goal is to study the sun's upper atmosphere, the chromosphere, and corona.
Okay.
And to do this, Aditya L1 is positioned in a special orbit around Lagrange point 1 L1.
Lagrange point 1, okay.
That's about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, directly between us and the sun.
So it has a constant, clear view of the sun.
It does.
Pretty cool. Now, for our UPSC enthusiasts,
Yeah.
how does this mission relate to their exam prep?
This is relevant to topics like space technology, solar physics, and India's scientific achievements.
Right.
It shows how India is a leader in space exploration.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's explore social sector funding in India.
Sounds good.
There's a new report, India Philanthropy Report 2025.
Yeah, a fascinating report.
It highlights some interesting trends.
It does.
So what are the key takeaways?
Well, the report says that India's social sector funding hit a remarkable 25 lakh crore rupees in fiscal year 2024.
25 lakh crore. That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's a pretty impressive amount. And is it on the rise?
Oh, definitely. It's been growing at a rate of 13% every year for the past 5 years.
Wow, 13% annually. That's significant.
And projections show it reaching 45 lakh crore rupees by fiscal year 2029.
That's incredible. What's driving this growth in social sector funding?
The report points to several factors.
Okay.
First, India's economy is steadily growing, so there's more money available for social initiatives.
Makes sense.
Second, the Indian diaspora is getting more involved in philanthropy back home.
Oh, that's great to hear.
And finally, there have been structural reforms in India that make it easier for people and organizations to contribute to the social sector.
Okay, so it's a combination of factors creating a more supportive environment for social sector funding.
It is.
But are there any concerns raised in the report?
There are a couple.
Okay.
One is the relatively low level of private contributions.
How low are we talking?
It only makes up about 5% of the total social sector spending.
5%, that's pretty small.
It is. The rest comes mostly from the government.
I see. And even with government funding, is it enough?
That's the second concern. We're still not hitting the investment levels recommended by Niti Aayog.
Right, Niti Aayog, the government's think tank.
Exactly.
So we're not quite meeting those recommended investment levels. Why is that a problem?
Well, philanthropy is crucial for filling that funding gap, especially in areas where the government can't do everything.
Right, it can help address urgent development challenges.
Exactly. Things like reducing poverty, improving education and healthcare, supporting vulnerable communities.
So it's about making targeted investments that create real change.
You got it.
Now, for our UPSC folks, how does this connect to their exam preparation?
Well, this report touches on topics like social development, policy analysis, and the role of NGOs in driving positive change.
Okay.
Understanding these trends in philanthropy can give you a deeper understanding of broader social issues in India.
Excellent point. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From FPOs to India's economic ambitions, from the India-EU partnership to solar flares,
A lot to unpack.
and then the evolving landscape of social sector funding in India. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but remember, consistent engagement with current affairs is essential for success in the UPSC exam.
Absolutely. Don't just passively absorb the news.
Right.
Analyze it, connect it to the syllabus, and consider its wider implications. And if you're finding this deep dive helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more insights and analysis tailored specifically for UPSC aspirants.
We're here to help you every step of the way.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of our March 2nd Current Affairs Deep Dive. Stay tuned.
See you soon.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Part 2 of our March 2nd Deep Dive into Current Affairs, specially curated for our dedicated UPSC aspirants.
That's right. And, it's amazing how these topics we discuss,
Yeah.
they often have these connections, these threads running through them.
They do. It's like weaving together a tapestry of India's growth and challenges.
Exactly. And understanding those connections is super important for the UPSC exam.
Absolutely. Speaking of connections, let's talk about India's inland waterways. There are some new regulations aimed at boosting investment in this sector.
Yeah, the government just introduced these national waterways regulations,
Okay.
specifically for the construction of jetties and terminals.
So it's about making it easier for private companies to invest and develop these waterways.
Exactly, streamlining the whole process.
Okay, and remind me, who's the main player when it comes to developing inland waterways in India?
That would be the Inland Waterways Authority of India.
Right, the IWAI.
They're the ones responsible for managing and developing this crucial infrastructure.
Got it. So what are some of the key changes these new regulations bring?
Well, one big change is that now you need a no objection certificate from IWAI.
Okay, an NOC.
Yeah, anyone who wants to build or run a terminal on a national waterway,
Right.
whether it's a private company or a government agency, they need this NOC from IWAI.
So it's about making sure everything is aligned with national priorities.
Absolutely, and having a central authority overseeing things.
Okay, makes sense. What else is new?
The regulations also lay out the responsibilities of the developers and operators really clearly.
Okay, so everyone knows what they're supposed to do.
Right, they're accountable for the design, the construction, safety standards,
Right.
making sure ships can access the terminal properly, all of that.
So it's about clear accountability.
Exactly.
Anything else worth highlighting?
Oh yeah, they're creating a digital portal for terminal applications,
Oh, that's smart.
making the whole process more transparent, efficient.
Right. No more paperwork.
Exact.
Streamlining things, promoting transparency, all good stuff. But let's zoom out for a sec. Why is there so much focus on developing inland waterways in India right now?
Well, think about India's vast network of rivers and canals.
Yeah.
Over 14,500 kilometers of potential waterways.
That's a lot of water.
It is, and we haven't fully tapped into that potential.
So it's about recognizing this underutilized asset.
Exactly. Developing these waterways has so many benefits.
Like what?
For one, it's way cheaper to transport bulk cargo by water compared to roads or railways.
Right, and it's better for the environment too, right?
Exactly. More fuel efficient, less pollution.
It's a win-win for the economy and the environment.
It is.
Now, for our UPSC aspirants, how does this tie into their exam preparation?
Think about topics like infrastructure development,
Okay.
logistics, supply chains, government initiatives in the transport sector.
It's a perfect example of how policy decisions can impact multiple areas
It is.
and contribute to overall economic growth.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to our rapid fire round,
All right.
let's circle back to FPOs for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about the government scheme and all, but are there other initiatives that support FPOs in India?
There are several, actually.
Like what?
Well, there's a dedicated credit guarantee fund specifically for FPOs.
Right, because access to credit is so important for them,
It is. It helps them invest in things that will make them more successful.
like infrastructure, technology, marketing.
Exactly. There's also an initiative to integrate FPOs with the Open Network for Digital Commerce.
Right, ONDC,
This gives them a much wider market reach.
so they can connect with buyers all over the country.
Exactly. No more limitations of just selling locally.
It's opening up new avenues for them.
It is.
And there's another initiative to turn 10,000 FPOs into common service centers.
You mean CSCs?
Yeah, those centers in rural areas that provide government and digital services.
Exactly.
That's an interesting idea.
It is. It turns FPOs into these multi-purpose hubs for their communities.
Okay, so they're not just about agriculture anymore.
Right. They become these vital resources for the whole community.
That's really cool. Okay, ready for our rapid fire round?
Hit me with it.
We've got a lot to cover, so buckle up.
I'm ready.
First up, a privilege motion in Parliament.
Ah, yes. This is about a member of Parliament raising a complaint
Okay.
saying that someone breached parliamentary privilege.
Okay, so what's the specific issue here?
In this case, the motion's against the External Affairs Minister
Okay,
for allegedly giving misleading information to Parliament.
sounds serious.
It is. It's a big deal when something like this happens.
Okay, next we have Auroville Township.
Celebrating its anniversary, a unique place.
Tell us about it.
It's an experimental township in Tamil Nadu, founded back in 1968,
Okay.
based on the vision of Mira Alfasa, known as the Mother, and the teachings of Sri Aurobindo.
So it's a spiritual community.
In a way, yes, it's an international community dedicated to creating a harmonious and sustainable way of life.
Fascinating. Okay, moving on. National Science Day.
Ah, yes. This day marks a major scientific achievement.
What was it?
The discovery of the Raman effect by Indian physicist Sir C.V. Raman.
Right. He even won a Nobel Prize for it.
He did in 1930, a proud moment for Indian science.
It is. Okay, next up we have news about antiretroviral therapy.
ART-T, crucial for people with HIV/AIDS.
What's the update?
The Supreme Court just issued an order
Okay.
addressing concerns about transparency and how ART drugs are procured.
Okay, so making sure the process is fair.
Exactly, and that patients can get the medication they need at affordable prices.
That's really important. Okay, we have some unfortunate news now. An avalanche.
Yeah, a tragic event near Mana village in Uttarakhand.
What happened?
Several Border Roads organization workers got trapped.
Oh, no.
But thankfully, rescue teams managed to pull them out safely.
That's a relief.
It is. Those rescue teams do incredible work.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We have the Banjara community in the news.
Right. The Lok Sabha speaker recently highlighted their historical significance.
That's their story.
They were traditionally nomadic traders, and they played a vital role in connecting different parts of India.
Interesting. So they were like the original connectors.
In a way, yes, their trade networks were extensive and helped facilitate trade and cultural exchange.
That's really cool. Okay, next up, a plant called Giloy.
Also known as Gaduchi, it's gaining popularity in the health and wellness world.
What's so special about it?
It has a long history in traditional Indian medicine.
Okay.
And there's growing research into its potential health benefits, particularly its antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant properties.
It sounds like a powerful plant.
It does. A lot of people are excited about its potential.
Okay, 2 more to go. Bilateral Swap Agreements, or BSAs.
These are agreements between countries to swap currencies.
Oh.
Usually they're local currencies for U.S. dollars.
What's the purpose of doing that?
It acts as a safety net during times of financial instability.
So if one country's currency is struggling.
They can swap it for a more stable currency.
Smart. Which countries are involved in this latest BSA?
This one's between India and Japan. They just renewed their $75 billion agreement.
Wow, that's a substantial amount.
It is. Shows the strength of their economic partnership.
Okay, last but not least, the Geological Survey of India, or GSI.
Celebrating a big anniversary, 175 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. They've played a crucial role in India's development.
What do they do exactly?
They do geological mapping, mineral exploration, disaster management, a whole range of things.
Wow, that's quite a legacy, right? We've covered a lot of ground in this rapid-fire round, from parliamentary procedures to scientific discoveries to social initiatives and economic agreements.
It just shows how diverse and dynamic current affairs can be.
It does, and for our dedicated UPSC aspirants, each of these developments offers a chance to delve deeper, analyze the information, make those connections to the syllabus, and keep those analytical gears turning.
Absolutely. Constant engagement is key.
If you're enjoying these deep dives, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.
We release new episodes every day to help you stay on top of current affairs.
And we're back for the final leg of our March 2nd UPSC Current Affairs Deep Dive. Are you ready to wrap things up?
Absolutely. Let's make sure our listeners are fully prepped for those current affairs questions.
That's the goal. So let's do a quick recap of what we've covered today.
Okay, we started with the amazing growth of those farmer-producer organizations, those FPOs.
Right. The government's really stepping up to support farmers and boost agricultural productivity.
Exactly. Then we shifted gears to talk about India's goal of becoming a high-income country by 2047.
Ambitious goal.
Ambitious for sure. But we talked about both the potential and the hurdles, right?
We did. And those economic insights are crucial for the UPSC exam.
Absolutely.
From there, we moved on to the world stage, looking at the India-EU partnership and how it's getting stronger.
Yeah, trade, technology, climate action, they're working together on all these important fronts.
And in today's world, those global partnerships are more important than ever. We also took some time to celebrate India's success in space science.
Oh, yeah, the Aditya L1 mission capturing that powerful solar flare. Amazing stuff.
It really is. India's pushing the boundaries of scientific exploration. It's inspiring.
Agreed, and we can't forget about social sector funding in India.
Right. We talked about how philanthropy is playing a bigger role in addressing development challenges.
Exactly, filling in those gaps where needed.
And then we squeezed in that rapid-fire round.
So much information in such a short time.
I know, right? We covered a whole range of topics just to show how dynamic current affairs can be.
Keeps us on our toes, that's for sure.
It does. But staying informed about these developments is key for UPSC preparation.
Absolutely. For our dedicated UPSC aspirants out there, this deep dive is just the beginning.
It's a starting point, the fuel for further exploration.
Exactly. Consistent engagement with current affairs, that's the secret sauce.
It is. Don't just passively consume the news.
Yeah.
Really dive in, analyze it, connect it to the syllabus. Think about the bigger picture. Most importantly, stay curious. The more you explore current affairs, the more those connections will just click into place.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about connecting the dots.
Exactly. So to all our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep pushing yourselves to make those connections.
We believe in you.
And if you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more daily insights and analysis, specially crafted for our amazing UPSC aspirants.
We're here to support you every step of the way.
That's a wrap for our March 2nd Current Affairs analysis. Until next time, happy studying and best of luck with your UPSC journey.
See you in the next deep dive.